I think the biggest issue is the issue of discrimination and the lack of rights. While there are protection for GLBT individuals within Allegheny County and I believe Philadelphia County here in Pennsylvania, there are not statewide protections nor are there federal protections. So a lot of people can't understand why we talk about gay rights being a civil rights issue, but to me they truly are, because there are no protections for discrimination in employment, housing, those types of things. So I believe the biggest issue is just the discrimination that the GLBT individuals encounter.
If I walked into a convenience store and they assumed that I was gay and said, you know what, we don't want to serve you, they legally have that right, because we are not protected under the law that says that, because there's no state law that protects LGBT people, so it's each community and each county that does it. And Pittsburgh has a city law that does it, but we do not have that in Mercer County, so they could literally refuse me service and I would just have to walk out the door and have no recourse.
What people need to realize first and foremost is that all marriages are civil marriages and that they begin with a license that is issued by a governing body. And then more often than not, they are accompanied by a religious ceremony. So society, when we think about a marriage or a wedding, we think about, you know, a religious ceremony. But at their core, marriages are civil unions, so to speak, because you require authorization from the state that sanctions your marriage. So I do struggle with the fact that there is such discussion about it, and I certainly do not want to trample on any religious institutions' beliefs or rights, but at the same time, I believe the states should sanction same-sex marriage.
Civil unions are just that, civil. And that if the law of the land, for some reason, suddenly comes down to recognizing gay marriage across the United States, it would be civil. And those marriages would be recognized by the law of the land, but it would still not be a religious action. And so both could exist. The law of the land would be a civil union. It would not be a law that would have to be recognized by the church. Both would exist. Both would not be recognized. Both could exist free in the United States.
I think everyone grows up with the notion that they want to be married to the person that they are with. And even though it's just a term, marriage, so to speak, there is something symbolic about it. And there is a way when you're gay and lesbian that you think about it just like everyone else thinks about it. And when you're told that you can't do it in the same way that everyone else can do it, and it mean the same thing, and it has to have different messages like domestic partnerships or civil unions and not marriage, it is a little bit of a stigma. It makes you feel as if it's second class. It's not quite good enough. So I think just using the term marriage and it having the same legal ramifications that it has for everyone else is huge in making gays and lesbians feel like they are not second class citizens and that we can have the same benefits and expectations and lives as everyone else can.
Religious proponents will go back to, you know, the Bible says Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, and that the purpose of marriage is, you know, to have children, Well, there are many opposite sex couples that do not have children either by choice or because they are unable to have children. And I personally don't understand why religious individuals feel threatened by same-sex marriage. People who, like myself, I identify as gay, and if I want to be, marry my partner, I don't see how that is a threat to a heterosexual couple. And I really don't understand why people are so threatened by it. And again, some of the arguments are about choice that even heterosexual couples do not, take part in terms of childbearing and those types of things.
My feelings on homosexuality are my feelings upon, as a believer and as a Christian, I believe that everyone has the right to do whatever they would like to do. But I believe that just like I believe that adultery and just like I believe fornication, my Bible teaches me that certain acts and behaviors, our lifestyles are sins or they are against the will of God. So I don't believe that, I believe that people have a right to do what they want to do, but I believe also when it comes to that behavior or any behavior that's outside of what God determines is right living, I believe it's incorrect.
The Catholic Church's teaching on it is it's a disorder, that it's not normal, and not according to God's plan, for a man and woman to, as a normal family would be a man and a woman in marriage with an openness to children and a lifetime commitment, that this is God's plan. And that people that find themselves with this orientation, if they're Catholic, are encouraged to be celibate and to try to, not pursue the gay lifestyle.
I was raised Catholic, so baptized at birth, and then I spent an additional 13 years in Catholic education from kindergarten through high school. So I spent, up until recently, I had spent more time in Catholic education than not. I felt I was falling away from Catholicism, and actually, when I look back at it, it wasn't so much that I was falling away as I was being pushed away. During the 1990s, Pope John Paul II came out very vehemently against homosexuality and specifically homosexual acts and relationships. And that teaching or that belief didn't fit with my world experience at the time. And I felt, like I said, I was being pushed away. So after my mother had passed away, I kind of said, well, this really isn't for me, and I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to subject myself to being told time and again that I'm a sinner and what I'm doing is a sin and that I'm going to go to hell.
Tradition has always declared that homosexual acts are intrinsically disordered. They are contrary to the natural law. They close the sexual act to the gift of life, and they do not proceed from a genuine, affective, and sexual complementarity. Under no circumstances can they be approved. So that's, in brief, that's what they teach there.
We have couples in our parish. We have couples in our parish, lesbian, homosexual, who have adopted children. Am I not supposed to minister to them? Or am I not supposed to take care of their children?
Says the number of men and women who have deep-seated homosexual tendencies is not negligible. This inclination, which is objectively disordered, constitutes for most of them a trial. They must be accepted with respect, compassion, and sensitivity. Every sign of unjust discrimination in their regard should be avoided. So you see the conflict here with the laws. If the laws, you try to do this by respecting people's rights, but the laws may start to violate your rights. If somebody's living a gay lifestyle openly and working for, say, a Catholic school, they would be let go because it's against the teachings of the Catholic Church, and the fear is that they would be influencing the children, to go that way as well, I don't know, you'd have to talk to a psychologist, but I don't know that seeing a gay or a lesbian couple is going to encourage children, you know, to become gay or lesbian. I don't think that's a real danger, but apparently some people do. And you have to draw a line, I guess, between the teachings of the church about morality and then how Catholics act in society. And in society, even though we may not approve of something, you know, we don't treat people less because of that. You know, we don't take away their rights of housing or jobs outside, as I say, of something like a Catholic school, where the bishops have decided, I guess, that that's sort of a contradiction on our part, you know, to have someone living a lifestyle that we consider sinful, and yet have them in the school teaching perhaps religion.
If a church didn't want to permit a same-sex wedding, I would believe that should be their religious freedom. I believe differently than my family does or than I was taught growing up. But to me, if I want them to have an open mind towards what I believe now, I also have to have an open mind and respect for what they believe. And I wholeheartedly believe that gay marriage should be a civil right. But there are some scriptures that different people interpret differently, and while I disagree with them, I feel they have the right to believe what they do and to enforce that within their church or parish. I don't think it should go beyond that.